Welcome back yet again to another episode of Mic Drop. Hot off the vinyl press this week, I'll be bringing you the latest from the Down on the Mate, Deadbeat by Tame Impala. Tame Impala, spearheaded solely by one man, Kevin Parker. He's a product of the Australian psychedelic rock scene in Perth, Australia. Originally conceived in 2007, Parker released his debut album Inner Speaker, following a series of singles and EPs, which he shared prior to the drop of Inner Speaker. If you fancy real gritty, spacious guitar riffs, and by some miracle haven't heard of Tame Impala, then that debut album is where I recommend you start. It's a quintessential psych rock masterpiece. After the release of Inner Speaker, Parker has had a consistent discography, each album pushing boundaries and soaring above their predecessors. Notably, his third LP, Currents, being a highly influential piece recognized by many of Parker's peers in music. One of those being producer and rapper Travis Scott, who got Kevin Parker to work on a song from his 2018 album Astroworld, which he went on to perform that song with Scott and, uniquely, singer-songwriter John Mayer in a Saturday Night Live performance. Needless to say, Kevin Parker has acquired an impressive status for himself, but without further ado, let's dive straight into this classic, Deadbeat. Kicking off with track number 1, of course, is My Old Ways. Now, while the theme of this song is very reminiscent of One More Year, the intro track to Parker's 2020 album, The Slow Rush, My Old Ways brings a completely different vibe. While the bass formula of modern synth pop and psych rock are still there, we see Parker embrace his technical prowess as a DJ. I mentioned the theme before. Much like One More Year, My Old Ways touches on the war of trying to break old habits and ending up feeling stuck in a certain point of life. Trying to move forward, but ultimately being pulled back into familiar patterns. Moving on, track number 2, No Reply. Shifting into song number 2, No Reply is a bit of a harrowing reminder not to get stuck in your own world and to check up on the people in your life. While holding true to the electronic structure of the first song, Parker certainly toned down the mood on this one. The song opens with, I apologize for no reply. Wish I could describe what goes on inside. It really shows us kind of where his head was at during the making of this song, I believe. This song focuses a lot more on the lyrics rather than the music, and it's mostly a looping drum beat with some key piano elements added in throughout. Track number 3, Dracula. Dracula was the final single released in anticipation for this record. Placed excellently in the track list, Dracula brings the mood back up to speed with a groovy club-ready beat with thick bass, reverberated vocals, and hazy synths that give it a feeling you should be listening to it at a rave. This is just a fun song to jam to in the car as well on a late night. Much like the title suggests, it's a very, for lack of a better term, nocturnal psychedelics dance beat. Number 4, Loser. Funnily enough, Loser was also a single, but it came out a few weeks before Dracula, but yet it was placed directly after Dracula in the album list. I don't know how he chose to do that or why he chose to do that. I think it fits though, but definitely Loser is one of the more pop adjacent tracks on the album, though still containing a lot of groove. If you like the Netflix series Stranger Things, Joe Keery, I believe he plays Steve in Stranger Things, is also in the music video for Loser, so go check that out because I think it's pretty neat. But Loser brings us back to what I think could have been heard on The Slow Rush. Musically, it has the same funky bass lines, or bass line structure as some of the tracks off of The Slow Rush, and I can really hear that he could have been writing this song back in 2020 even. It's very possible. Number 5, Oblivion. Instantly locking you into its recognizable reggaeton beat style is Oblivion. You know, that boom, da boom, da boom, da boom, da. It has a particularly interesting song. It's mixed in a way that, to me, It makes it feel like I'm listening to it in a separate room completely. I mean, the vocals are almost drowning in reverberation, so much so that it makes it seem like, like if you were at a concert but standing outside and you could just barely hear the vocals, but you can still hear what they're saying, sort of. It's kind of like that. But not only that, Parker's softer, deeply reverberated and echoey vocals are a stark contrast from the previous two songs that it's a bit jarring in the right way. The lyrics seem to focus on what it's like being in a long-distance relationship, and possibly kind of understanding that the relationship might be fading because of the distance, but nonetheless always trying to reach that person because you care about them so much. At the halfway point in the album comes Not My World, track number 6. This track is rooted in themes of isolation and loneliness. This is exemplified by lyrics that say, "Day after day, waking just in time to catch the last hours of sunlight." Now to me that seems like someone who is just sleeping their day off, kind of just keeping to himself, almost like a hermit, not really ever wanting to go outside, or is letting the world pass him by. Seems pretty lonely. Like, almost sort of like Parker is writing this from the perspective of someone who feels like they're wandering the world from a third-person point of view. Kind of just going through the motions of a mundane. Number 7, Piece of Heaven. Another heavy hitter and very poppy song from the album is track number 7, Piece of Heaven. Piece of Heaven is a really beautiful song that touches on how even the smallest moments or situations can be extremely amplified if you spend it with the right person, if you spend it with someone you care about. I think that's something all of us can relate to, or most of us can relate to. You know, if you're out at a concert with a friend, or having a meal with your parents, or just someone you like to be around. It's no matter what you're doing it with that person counts. It makes it infinitely better almost. It brings Tame Impala's sound all the way back to 2015's Currents record. The synth pop formula is fully realized with hazy synths, light percussion, and fantastically layered vocals. Number 8, Obsolete. Coming in hard after Piece of Heaven is Obsolete. Again, leaning into his signature psych pop style, Parker delivers a very dance-worthy beat with airy synths and bass line that drives the groove. Although it's an upbeat song, it's actually about someone realizing a relationship is fading and fearing they're becoming unnecessary to the other person. Kind of like, feeling like you're becoming in the background and you're just being used simply because you're available in the relationship. The instrumentals do a great job at masking the tone of it, though. It's kind of like having a sad song, or like a sad song, but with happy instrumentals, if that makes sense. Aside from that, the guitar riff towards the end, tough. It's tough, it goes hard. Easily the most electronic-driven song on the album is track number 9, Ethereal Connection. It opens with no holds barred, with punchy beats that's, just right in your face. Much like the title suggests, Ethereal Connection is a track that's inspired by a deeply profound bond with someone. Kevin Parker is a father now. It's very possible that he wrote this song about, or even probably for, his child. The production layers dance beats akin to EDM, swirling synths. Number 10, See You on Monday, You're Lost. Upon the first few listens, the song didn't really catch me. Near as much as the other songs on this album did. Taking a look back at the lyrics, I may be changing my mind. It's certainly the most stripped back song on the album. With that being said, I believe it's intentional to bring out the lyrics more. Unlike No Reply, how that one was also kind of stripped back and a little bit more on the mellow side. This song just doesn't really have that much playability for me. It just seems like a very situational listen. I haven't made up my mind whether or not it's a complete miss. I'll probably have to actually sit down in front of the lyrics and listen to the song and just see if anything connects with me more, because right now it's not a bad song, just maybe not one of my favorites on the album. One of my personal favorites, though, on this album is track 11, Afterthought. It's a straightforward song and wastes no time getting into the meat of the song. Comparably, the musicality of this track is a lot more delicate. It has softer electronic beats, gentle synths, and vocals that are brought to the front, which makes the song feel a little bit more closer, a little bit more intimate. The first single to drop, End of Summer, comes in last but not least on track 12 of Deadbeat. Next to Ethereal Connection, End of Summer is easily the most house-sounding song on the album. Around the time there was speculation of a new Tame Impala record and the single was dropped, I was lucky enough for myself, really, to have heard the opinions of other people on what they thought of End of Summer, because a lot of the opinions were very negative, and so I took that as a sign to not listen to any singles. Actually, I didn't. Once I heard that, I didn't listen to any singles of the album before the album dropped, and I think it was the right decision. You know, if you don't like house music, this song might not be for you. It doesn't mean that it's a bad song. I don't get all the hate on this song, but yeah, people don't like it at all. And that goes for the whole album in general. It's completely different than a lot of what we've heard from other Tame Impala projects. If you prefer the more psych rock synth pop material, there's some of that on here. But for the most part, he really leaned into more of an electronic album. And I personally love electronic music, so I give this album a 9.5 out of 10, easy. See You on Monday is not a bad song, like I said, but that might be where my only drawback is for the half a point to get it to 10. That might change in the next couple days, but yeah. Let me know what you think I should review next.